welcome to the Bill Mason Show. Hey, Bill.
Here we are, Tuesday.
We're here again. It's what date is this? What is today?
July 7th.
July 7th. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually, it was supposed to be a blackout day. If you wanted to show your support for Black Lives Matter, you were supposed to not purchase anything today.
Really?
You were supposed to not buy anything. So I failed at that. I bought a bunch of things today. So, I didn't know until later anyway. So too bad. I guess it'll just show that people still bought things today.
Yeah, I don't think I bought anything today, actually.
No? Okay. So,
I was part of that plan then.
You were supportive, but no, I bought a hoagie today. I got a soda.
I didn't need to, but I didn't buy anything today.
Yeah. So
anyway, okay. All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about. We have Obama. We have with Biden. We have the fireworks there today. We didn't do a special show, so we're going to replay some great videos of what happened.
Yeah, some citizenship fireworks shows, because a lot of the municipalities, Philadelphia included, no fireworks in the city of. I was astonished.
Yeah. So I mean, we have a lot going on tonight. A lot of funny videos, actually, so this could turn out to be a funny show.
Yeah. I think we need that right now, so.
We do. So it's not all doom and gloom. There is some doom and gloom at the very end we're going to show, but it's a little mixture. All right, so let's talk about Biden. So what is going on with Biden?
It seems that he needs to talk less. So I think they keep him hidden, and they try to limit him to certain places where they can definitely edit what he says. So now at his events, we'll call them, with the social distancing, which he brings in 15 people, they also say no cell phones, because they want to be able to film their version of it, and if it's terrible and he looks like he's flubbing all over the place, they can edit it out. Because everywhere else when he's in public, and you'll notice that he doesn't do any public stuff, is because people get it on a cell phone and then they're like, look at this guy. So they're really trying to save every last ounce of Biden without making him look like a complete demented space cadet.
Yeah, let's take a look at one little quick video. It's only I think it's 15 seconds.
Okay.
So this is what he says. Take a look.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Lily already indicated, I'm Joe Biden's husband, Joe Biden.
All right, so he thinks he's Joe Biden's husband. So, what I think he meant was, his wife was introducing him, and he was trying to say, she's, I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
But I think something that Trump mentioned. Now, Trump took a cognitive ability test back when they were talking all the 25th Amendment stuff. They were like, he's unfit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's dangerous to the country. So he was like, okay, he takes his cognitive ability test and scores 99 out of 100. If Joe Biden were to take a cognitive test, there's no way he's going to pass. So the shocking thing to me is that if they get their golden boy or golden man elected, not only is the 25th Amendment going to come up almost immediately, his tampering in the Ukraine is almost going to come up immediately. I mean, this is a weird way to just get Trump out and insert another, guy. And now all of those arguments are valid. I mean, the 25th Amendment would be valid if he's in the Oval Office.
And Susan Rice might be your vice president.
Yeah, can you imagine? Holy cow. I mean, she I don't think is going to make it, because I'm hoping, like we talked about in other shows, that the Durham report comes out right as the elections come up, and she's definitely going to be listed, I believe, in the indictments, because she's too heavily tied in to everything from, the awareness of what was going on, the FISAs, the briefing, the fact that they're not going into Obama right now. I think maybe they're going to wait to see if Trump gets reelected, and then they will have 4 years to really go, deep dive into it and then go for it.
All right. Obamagate will come out, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at Obama and Biden together. Let's take a look at this video.
Yeah, trying to endorse him.
Choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best decisions I ever made.
What are we doing? What's going on right now?
I believe Joe has all the qualities we need in a president right now.
I got hairy legs,
That's Joe. He's someone whose own life has taught him how to persevere,
So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
how to bounce back when you've been knocked down.
Give me a break.
Joe talks about opportunity for our kids.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
And Joe talks to families who've lost a hero.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Through all his trials, he's never once forgotten.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
I know he'll surround himself with good people.
And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
That's why I'm so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States.
What?
There we go.
There's no way he's proud to endorse him.
No.
Because, in my opinion, if that was the case, as soon as he announced he was running, he would have been like side by side, like my man Joe. Instead, he waited till he was the only
On the
guy.
one left, right.
So I don't believe that for a second that he's proud to endorse him. I think he's like, well, he's our guy. We're going with Joe.
Oh,
Sleepy,
boy.
low
Sleepy.
energy, forgetful Joe.
Yeah, I can't wait for the debates. I'm itching for the debates.
They're talking now that he's already putting out the feelers. Trump's trying to plan for it, even if it's televised, because he wants to put it out there that like you're not getting out of this. Because Biden was already saying like, well, in the pandemic, and I don't think it's a great idea. And he's like, nope, there's Zoom meetings. There's a way to do it. We're gonna do it.
Right.
So I'm really hoping it's like a big event too.
Oh yeah, and they can stand 6 feet apart from each other and no audience if they want.
Well, like I said, I think Biden doesn't want to be in the same building with Trump. Like it might be some kind of Zoom, like live Zoom meeting where Biden's in his basement and Trump's in the Oval Office.
Right, because Biden get all the messages from the
Exactly,
the
and they could have teleprompters in front of them, electric shocks to keep them awake.
Right.
Whatever they have to do. It's like Weekend at Biden's. You know what I mean? Where they're just like, please, like, just make it to the end, just long enough.
Yeah, we're gonna start showing the polls pretty soon. I mean, on our show, but I don't want to show them now. I mean, the polls are so wacky.
Yeah, I don't believe any of them because I saw one today that had Biden at like 61%, and I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Hillary all over again. I mean, she was at 83%.
I don't think the Democrats learned that this ends badly for them when they try this same thing. So like it's like a repeat. So Hillary went out and called all the Trump supporters deplorables and stuff like that, and Biden somehow, I don't know, who told him this, but like, Trump being at the Mount Rushmore, and it somehow turned into a white supremacy rally. And I watched the whole thing, and I was like, what is he talking about? I couldn't find it anywhere.
Well, we have the speeches, and then he's showing prominent black leaders throughout the country. I don't see how that's a white supremacist.
Other than I think he had the Air Force band down in the pit, and they were all wearing white. Other than that, I don't know where the hell he got it was a white supremacy rally, and it makes me crazy because they find a way to put like this weird spin on just about everything that Trump does. Every time he talks, every time he goes somewhere, everything about it. Like he had commented on the NASCAR situation, with the guy Bubba Wallace, and the rope snapped, and he found the rope, and everybody was like, oh, it's a noose, it's a racial thing. And then it turned out to be, nope, there's like 10 of them here. This is how we do it. It's, normal. And, it turned into nothing. And so Trump was like, I think Bubba should apologize. And then all of a sudden that turns into, oh, that's what a white supremacist would say. And it's so weird that they're trying to create something where there's really not much there. They're trying to almost
they are doing a good job at that.
Well, it's if you had that powerful media outlets, like, imagine owning, back in my day, all the major channels, which, were NBC and, CBS, and before Fox existed, like they actually competed with each other to get the most truthful story to get the viewers. And it's the opposite now.
Right.
So they all try to repeat the same lie. It's weird when you watch their shows, because sometimes I'll click around and within 5 minutes of each other, you'll hear the exact same lie repeated, like from CBS to MSNBC to CNN.
Well, you know why, right?
Well, it's almost like they're trying to hypnotize America.
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats get together and they go, "Hey, you're going to go on CNN and say this.
Yeah.
You're going to go on MSNBC and say the exact same thing."
Yes.
So that's the reason why you hear the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, and it's almost like they're trying to lull people to sleep, because there is no competition in the journalism type of market where everybody really wanted the facts.
Right.
Like, that's what made you like the most watched news outlet. Like,
Right.
wow, like back in the day, I'm talking like, Gulf War era, which is what made, CNN famous.
Yeah.
Because they would show the footage and they would have people on the ground, and it was real. It wasn't like, the fake stuff that they do now where it's green screen. Like, yeah, I'm really in Norway.
Right.
Like,
And they're
no,
really in
I'm
Atlanta.
not.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, like, these CNN people now, like, what put them on the map was the truthful reporting from like back in the Desert Storm era and the Desert Shield era. And everybody tuned into them to see their reporting. Now this is all BS, and they all do the same thing. It's very strange to watch them die right before your eyes.
It is. It's crazy. All right, so we're going to talk about Trump. So we're going to look at Trump's speech. Let's see him flying over Mount Rushmore. Okay.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that thing's cool. Anytime you see Air Force One, it's pretty cool. And he gets the same reaction whether he's in the Beast, or if he's in Marine One, or if he's in Air Force One. Like I said it before on other shows, I can't remember. I remember going to an event where George Bush was going to be at, and when the limo went by, I mean, people were like, "Hey, there he is," but people weren't going batshit crazy because they saw George Bush Jr.
Right.
There was no enthusiasm like Trump has, and I think that's something that maybe scares the left a lot, because they have to take his pro-America stuff and spin it into some kind of weird white supremacy, because it makes too much sense if you let him talk. So like when he speaks about like what it's like to be American, there's no color to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just in general, like making America great again. I know we talked about that. There's no color to that either.
Well,
Everybody
all
succeeds.
they have is racist. That's all they have.
All they have is that magical card that they keep pulling out, and they're like, "Oh, there it is. There's the dog whistle." And I'm like, "Dog whistle? What?" "Oh yeah, did you see the way he pointed to Lincoln or whatever?" I'm like, I don't even understand. They go as far as like looking at the gesture of his hands,
Right.
and they say like, "Oh, you see how he did this like 3 times?" And I'm just like, man, you guys are reaching. This is unbelievable.
They are reaching.
It's almost hard to watch certain pundits, like this one guy, Don Lemon. Everybody calls him Don Lemon. Half the time, I don't know where he's getting this stuff, talking about dog whistles, and every time Trump talks about how he helps the black Americans, he's really hurting them. And I'm just like, by letting them get great jobs? I mean, I don't understand what's painful about it.
They won't point to one thing, and they just always make stuff up.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's like, I see it and I'm like offended by it, but I watch other people that I come in contact with and they believe it, and they're just like, yeah, Don Lemon, he's a genius.
Right. Yeah. Oh boy. Anyway, so we have Trump's Mount Rushmore speech. A little bit of this. Take a look.
Yeah, the rally.
I am here as your president to proclaim before the country and before the world, this monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. Their legacy will never, ever be destroyed. Their achievements will never be forgotten. And Mount Rushmore will stand forever as an eternal tribute to our forefathers and to our freedom. Those who seek to erase our heritage want Americans to forget our pride and our great dignity so that we can no longer understand ourselves or America's destiny. My fellow Americans, it is time to speak up loudly and strongly and powerfully and defend the integrity of our country. We will proclaim the ideals of the Declaration of Independence. America's future is in our hands. And ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come.
There we go. Very good speech.
Didn't come off as some kind of supremacist rally to me. And like I said, I watched the whole thing. I don't know where they get some of their stuff. I mean, honestly, the momentum to me, no matter what the poll numbers say, the momentum is on Trump's side. There's nothing that Biden has done or said that can motivate people. I don't understand what they're polling, these polling numbers, because every time he speaks, even the Democrats that I know, they go, oh my God, not again. So how do you watch that guy speak or listen to him for 5 minutes and go, oh, he's got my vote, definitely. Like, yeah, he's the man. I don't get it. It doesn't make much sense to me.
Well, let's listen to this other speech here. It's another expert of the Mount Rushmore speech. And talks about diversity. Let's take a look.
Okay.
We are the nation that gave rise to the Wright brothers, the Tuskegee Airmen, Harriet Tubman, Clara Barton, Jesse Owens, George Patton, General George Patton, the great Louis Armstrong, Alan Shepard, Elvis Presley, and Muhammad Ali. And only America could have produced them all. We are the culture that put up the Hoover Dam, laid down the highways, sculpted the skyline of Manhattan, and who carved our heroes into the face of Mount Rushmore. Americans harnessed electricity, split the atom, and gave the world the telephone and the internet. We settled the Wild West, won 2 world wars, landed American astronauts on the moon, and one day, very soon, we will plant our flag on Mars. We gave the world the poetry of Walt Whitman, the stories of Mark Twain, the songs of Irving Berlin, the voice of Ella Fitzgerald, the style of Frank Sinatra, the comedy of Bob Hope, the power of the Saturn V rocket, the toughness of the Ford F-150, and the awesome might of the American aircraft carriers. Americans must never lose sight of this miraculous story.
There we go. That was a beautiful speech.
That was a great speech. And they just showed the Lincoln Memorial like as one of the last couple of frames.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you were paying attention to that, but man, they had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're still cleaning that thing. You know, there's spray paint on it. They actually chipped away at one of the most famous, you know what I mean, American. It's one of the symbols, you know what I mean, that people relate to America, and it's just totally desecrated, man. It's like one of those things that I don't know how you could even bring yourself to hammer and chisel away at it and just be that person. You have to really have some misguided, yeah.
I mean, he's the one that won the Civil War, that freed the slaves.
Right. The guy that took the risk. So I mean, anybody that researches like history, they're always stuck on the fact that slavery was taking place in this country. Well, it takes people like Abraham Lincoln, and it takes people to bring it to light and to stop it. Like it started in Africa, to be honest. Like the slave trade, it was, you can go back to biblical days.
It's still going on in Africa.
It's still going on,
Yeah.
but I mean, like literally, like the Egyptians enslaved Hebrews. I mean, it started there. So I mean, to put like this original sin on it, I get it that it's upsetting, but that guy is the guy that helped. So to deface the Lincoln Memorial makes absolute zero sense to me.
Right.
There were so many other things they could have went for, and they just didn't.
Right. I mean, have you ever seen Harriet Tubman's movie? The movie on about Harriet Tubman?
Yeah, I did actually. A month ago, I think I saw it. Yeah,
Very
it was
good movie.
great.
I mean, she should be up there in a monument herself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
She
there
will.
without
Trump just announced it. She's going to be a part of the 1,000 greatest Americans on this new memorial they're doing.
yeah, because they're gonna move a lot of the statues that are in question to like this giant, like what do they call it? Field of Heroes or something like that. I
That's
think.
correct.
Yeah. So I mean, eventually, if you want to go see all those statues together, they're supposedly going to put them chronologically. So like you could see as history progressed, this person came into, and so on and so on, which is great because
Oh, yeah.
honestly, to erase history is mind-boggling. Like, how are my grandchildren gonna ever get a grip on? I mean, you can't just erase it. You have to talk about it. I mean, like it, I heard some people talking about how the Jewish people did not want to remove a camp called Auschwitz. They had the option to bulldoze it so they never have to see it again, and they said, no, absolutely not. We want to never forget that happened, so it doesn't happen again, and the rest of the world, okay, can see what happens when a government entity goes awry and starts to just kill people all willy-nilly, like China. You know what I mean? So, they had their opportunity to erase history, and they chose not to. And it's something that brings to light how important the historical aspect of this country is, because we are the grand experiment. You go through Europe and they have statues of guys that looted and pillaged and killed everyone in sight. And just because it was thousands of years ago, it's kind of like, well, that's history to them, and they leave it alone. Like, that's one thing I noticed about the European riots that broke out. In England, they went after people like Winston Churchill and stuff like that. But in Italy, they did not go after, the Trajan Monument and the Trevi Fountain. They did not deface those things. They left them alone because, I mean, honestly, it's a different viewpoint. Like, honestly, the Romans had slaves, and you know what I mean. There was slavery all throughout Europe, and there was actually white slaves. The Barbary Coast was a trading port. They would go up the Mediterranean and catch white people on whatever island and sell them to African people. I mean, slavery was a thing, and it wasn't just an American thing. And I think that's the most messed up part about things like the 1619 movement, which is like this ridiculous thing that the New York Times put out there. I don't know if anybody knows about it, but they're basically saying that July 4th doesn't count because 1619 is the birth of this nation when the first slave ship arrived. But what they don't want to talk about is in 1519, the African slave trade that was going on all over the world was mostly Spanish, Portuguese, and Africans that were literally selling their own people all over the globe. So, I mean, yes, America does have a history of it, but realistically, you can't have that stain on now. Like, we live here now, and we've made mistakes, but like, I know people who take a lot of risk, okay? They take a lot of risk with their own money, and it's not white privilege that got them to be successful. They took a risk. They took a gamble. They started a business. They invested time. They worked 80, 90 hours a week for a long time to get it there, And I also know black people who did the same thing, very similar, took a risk, took a small investment, put the time in and the money, and they're in very similar positions,
Right.
you know, in life. So, I mean, that level of recognition, like if you really watch people as they move forward, and if they have the mentality that they want to succeed, they will. But this young generation has this mentality where there's, oh, I don't fit in here. They don't have a transgender bathroom, and you know, this whatever. And like, there's just a reason to be upset and not a reason to excel, not a reason to risk or invent something or produce. There's just nothing.
Right, I agree. I mean, there might have been white privilege before, maybe 1960s and before, maybe.
Yes,
but
I agree.
Not now. There's no white
I
privilege.
agree. There were times, and honestly, if you want to name who were perpetuating the Jim Crow laws, they were Democrats. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
And they're all
the
Democrats.
people, exactly. It's always Democrats who really need the power. They need to be, you know, people need to feel oppressed, and they need to sell you kind of like the jail keys, and they never give them to you. They just dangle them in front of you, and they go, "Oh man, you guys are really man. Wouldn't it be great if somebody helped you?"
Mhm.
And guess what? The Democrats never deliver. So I mean, the portion of the population. Okay, we'll talk about portion of population because I want to talk real quick about what happens in Chicago. Okay, and you, like I said before, you have Black Lives Matter chapters in Chicago that completely ignore the fact that children are being killed now in drive-by shootings, and it is black on black crime, and there's between 6 and 12-year-olds are now being killed, and it's like, it doesn't make the news. No one says their name. No one is out in the street chanting a 7-year-old girl who got shot in the face. No one's chanting, and that's the thing. It's like this focused outrage only when it makes, you know, a political agenda.
Right.
That's the only time it works. When it goes back to everyday life, like I said, the South Side of Chicago, no one talks about it.
No, they can't. I mean, it doesn't make sense for them to do that now. They have
Right,
to pin it
and-
on Trump or pin it on somebody else to make it.
Right.
Make
And
it-
like right now too, like I'll touch on New York.
Yeah.
So New York, as it's pulling funding from police department, the new NYPD had 400 officers retire that, you know, they probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for the way they were going to be treated. And now you have the murder rate, and it's skyrocketing. It's up 125%. So I mean, it just goes to show you what happens when Democrats kind of like pull this like baby version of enforcement, because without the enforcement, you see what comes out, and this is that. It's a violent world, and you don't realize how much of that blue line holds back the violence. You know, there's always going to be people that are victims of crime, but now in these cities that have been pulled back, I mean, thank God they went in the CHOP and broke that up and brought that guy to tears. That the leader, to see him crying his eyes out as they put the cuffs on, I mean, that was hilarious. But you know, it took people getting killed in CHOP. You know, I saw the father of that kid who got killed, that 19-year-old kid. And there's no investigation. This is American soil that happened on. That was a murder. Okay, like he did not get like due process. Like he did not get his murder investigated. He died at the hands of like absolute morons. I mean, this sucks that happened on American soil.
That was in Republic of Chad. They have their own laws.
Yeah, but that's the thing. To me, I get that they had their own laws, and I know you're being sarcastic, but that's American soil that happened on. So that father, when I saw him in tears it was on Hannity. If anybody wants to go on YouTube, it was Hannity. The guy's crying his eyes out because the last time he talked to his son, you know, his son was, you know, whatever, and he told him, he said, I don't know about what you're doing over there. You know, they don't seem like they have any idea what they're doing. You know what I mean? And he kind of like, that was it. That was the last time he talked to him. And then, you know, you find out your son's dead, and you find out the situation and what happened, and it's because there's no law enforcement. And meanwhile, they're still chanting for less law enforcement. So it's only going to like spiral into this nonsense. It's not like there are, you know, inner cities that can operate without any law enforcement. It's just proven fact that they just explode. It just can't be done.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. I mean, that shouldn't happen, of course.
No.
So let's take a look at the fireworks. So we had some illegal fireworks going off in California. Let's take a look.
Yeah, freedom.
10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, and there are massive fireworks going off pretty much in every direction that you see here. Jasmine, our local fire departments and police departments have been begging people not to do this, but it seems tonight they are not listening to those calls.
Well, and they're putting up new warnings on social media. I mean, they're saying safe and sane are even banned in the majority of cities in LA County, not to mention the city of LA has a ban as well. We know many of the public shows have been canceled, so we've done stories on this. More people have been, unfortunately, setting off illegal fireworks. I mean, it is quite the sight, but this is not supposed to be happening. I mean, you could be fined up to $50,000. We'll keep
Yeah, whatever. They're not going to keep people from firing fireworks.
Nope. And it's like anything else. The funny thing is that California, most things are illegal. Let's be honest about California. And apparently, from when I read the labels on everything from my Windex to my floor cleaner, they cause cancer only in the state of California, though.
Right.
But anyway, so the more things that they make illegal, I mean, it's like you can't hold people back from celebrating freedom, 4th of July, whatever. I mean, this country has been locked down, shut down, put out of work, made unemployed, and now it's, peak summer. This is like the thing. You're not going to stop that. I mean, they said that they were going to make arrests or whatever, but I mean, honestly, you saw that was what, like miles and miles of fireworks. You could arrest
thousands and thousands of people shooting off fireworks.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to pull it off. So like the problem with like laws like that, okay? I think there's a reason why our creator made our laws very simple. You know what I mean? Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't kill. Okay, those are like something that each person can know inside. Like, okay, those things are pretty bad. I probably shouldn't do them. But as these little municipalities make these laws that they have to enforce, oh, you can't use a plastic straw here, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. I mean, it's just nonsense. They're trying to wave like this wand of power, and it's all stuff that you can't enforce, and you never will. And you may spend the money on law enforcement, but what the point I'm trying to make is that it's places like California who could never defund the police because they literally make a new thing illegal every day. Right. So those guys are
gonna enforce it, right?
They're too busy enforcing stuff like this, like a plastic straw. You know what I mean? Like, this is illegal in California. So how could they ever live without law enforcement? It just doesn't make sense.
No, there's no way. All right, let's take a look at night over New York with the 4th of July. Take a look.
Okay.
Video of over New York.
Yeah.
As you can see, there was a partial lunar eclipse that night too.
Yeah, that was a very, very eventful night. I mean, I tried to stay up to see the whole thing. I only saw the very beginning of it, but I think it ended East Coast time at like almost 1:30 in the morning.
It did, yes.
But what I was gonna say about New York is, I mean, for as really cool as that was, me growing up, I remember New York City's fireworks. Like, the whole East River was lit up. The Statue of Liberty was lit. There was like shimmering sparks behind the Statue of Liberty. It was like a big deal when it was okay to celebrate the 4th. I mean, not anymore. These big cities like Philadelphia used to take the Ben Franklin Bridge and literally like just fire every single firework they had off of the bridge, and then sparks would shimmer down from the bottom. I mean, it was amazing. Like, I don't know if we'll ever see that again if they make the 4th illegal.
Yeah, we'll see. I can't see them doing that, but if Joe Biden gets in power, maybe that'll happen.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, making it something that you have to, they're trying to make it something you're ashamed of celebrating, so to speak. So like that was the general consensus in Philadelphia, because Philadelphia is very woke. I mean, yeah, I mean they can have, you know, all kind of, you know, zombie parades that mix with transgender parades and all that stuff, but as far as being like proud to be an American, you're not woke if you do that. And you can see the mayors that are supporting that. And it just sucks that a city that played a major role in forming this country is the major role, and they had no celebration. It was sad, man. It was a very, very sad 4th for me. I drove all the way into Allentown, Pennsylvania, so I could see some fireworks. I mean, you know.
Well, let's talk about some other things. Of course, we talked about last show, we're in a cold civil war, maybe turning hot.
Yeah.
So we're in this. Hopefully it won't turn too hot. But let's take a look at the Black Panther Party that was at in Atlanta. Take a look.
Yep.
Threat, counter threat. Because threats don't mean shit to us. Y'all been threatening us since Birmingham. I ain't seen shit. When is July the 4th? And all you scary ass Negroes that pass that shit around, look at what the fuck you did. You made blacks come out. I don't see no white militia. So to the boogie boys, the 3%ers, and all the rest of you scared ass rednecks, we here. Where the fuck you at? We in your house. Let's go. NFAC, motherfucker. NFAC.
There it is. So what do you think? I mean, you know, I know the media's trying to make this a race thing, but I mean, what is going to happen?
Well, those guys, like, when I was watching the news, I was like, don't they remember the election in, like, you know, 2018? Don't they remember 2016 when these guys did the same thing? It's a very active member of these guys, and they always turn out, and they honestly, it's their right to, you know, they have a Second Amendment right too. So no shots are fired, nobody dies. But in the end, that little thing that he's calling out, like, you know, certain people, okay, like the 3%ers and the boogie boys, if, you know, people don't know what that is. That's a new terminology. They call it the boogaloo, okay? So it started on Reddit that guys started making jokes about this movie. It was called Breakin' 2, The Electric Boogaloo. And you made all these memes about these guys. Now, they were dancers. They were break dancers. And they would make memes where these guys were holding guns while they were dancing. Like, they would be holding, and it was like a funny thing. So then these guys started to take it on Reddit even further and say, like, oh, the Boogaloo is going to be so much fun. Like, we should have dance moves and all this other stuff. So, like, the fact that they're calling these guys like a militia, the Boogaloo boys or the Boogie boys, this is like a running joke, and they don't even realize that they've been trolled by Reddit because it doesn't exist. Like the Boogaloo thing and these secret militia guys called the Boogie Boys, they don't exist. The 3%ers do, and 3%ers are, you know, cops, firemen, doctors, lawyers. I mean, just all people that are like freedom-loving patriots, and, you know, it's not a matter of all white guys either. I know 3%ers that are black guys, that are corrections officers, that are, you know, doctors. Like I said, there's a doctor. So, I mean, knowing those people and calling them out like, yeah, what you gonna do or whatever, that's like a call to violence. And the difference is that when those guys do show up, like the protesters on the steps of when Michigan would not allow agricultural businesses to open, like farmers markets and stuff like that. I don't know if everybody knows, but, you know, that protest wasn't just about hair salons and tattoo shops. It was about farmers markets, roadside stands, stuff like that, where people make their living. And it was springtime, and they were like, enough's enough. I can put out baskets of peppers and tomatoes, and people can buy them, and I don't have to come in contact with them. So anyway, long story short, 50 guys show up on the steps of the State House, armed, with same way as the Black Panthers. No shots fired, peaceful protest, basically saying like that we have rights, that you're witnessing the Second Amendment, we're using the First Amendment, you're restricting our other amendments. So like that was the point of that, and it wasn't to like cause a fight. Like the Black Panthers came out to call people out, like, yeah, where you at, get down here, whatever. And I can honestly say, if guys are from different factions and are standing across the street from each other and everybody's equally armed, nobody shoots because nobody wants to die. And that's why I believe in the polite armed society, because realistically, I don't want to ever use my gun. I don't want to have to, but I do know how, and I train with it. And I hope that someone else who just got a gun, that's another thing I want to touch on. I mean, the gun sales are in record numbers. I'm hoping that people go out and get the proper training, because I really don't want a brand new gun owner that's never fired their pistol, their rifle, or whatever before, thinking that they got to be, RoboCop in a situation and start shooting up a movie theater or something. I mean, if you don't have the training, the knowledge, and the know-how, just owning the gun is not even 1% of the total pie. You have to really, you need a lot of common sense, and you also need a lot of knowledge of ballistics of the bullet, how far it travels, what if it misses, how far is it going to go, what's it go through, does it go through a car? I mean, some people go out and get a 44 Magnum and carry it around with them. They don't realize what they have. So the fact that there are more guns now, I'm hoping for a polite armed society. And like I said, my theory is that when everybody doesn't know who's armed, it really slows down your willingness to like taunt somebody, call them a racial slur, maybe knock a Trump hat off of someone, maybe spit on someone, because when you don't know if they're armed or not, you don't do that. When and this whole push for removal of law enforcement, this is the natural reaction of the citizenship. Like, this is it. Like, there wasn't really law enforcement when the Second Amendment was written. You were on your own. And if we are back there, if this is what they want, then you see, as the pendulum swings, you take away law enforcement, what happened? Gun sales went through the roof. So we will become our own law enforcement. And you just hope that everybody has the same mentality. I don't want to die today. I want to go home.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of strange things, we have locusts everywhere.
Yeah, still. I mean, I wonder if it's the same swarm that we were reporting on that started in, what was it, like...
it started in Ethiopia or Sudan.
Ethiopia,
and
Egypt,
went to
I
Africa,
think. Yeah.
Went into the Middle East, going into China.
Yeah.
We have
now it's in Russia, I think.
South of Russia. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Вот, ты видишь, что у нас творится?
Тросик там вылетел.
Да, я же говорю, вот этот тросик, который такой железный там. Надо его или нового поменять, или что-то.
Новый ставить.
Отвязать нельзя там?
Не, он уже...
Пипец, ужас.
Он стал такой.
Куда они еще летят, мама, не заканчивается.
Кружатся они, видишь?
Как кружатся, они туда же вон улетели.
Не, они вот здесь, вот здесь, видишь, вот здесь кружатся, на зеленке.
There we go. So millions of locusts south of Russia.
Eating and breeding.
Yeah, but the strangest thing, there is a bunch of locusts in Brazil too, by the way. Let's take a look at that, okay?
Yeah.
Dios mío, no se ve, boludo.
So there you have it. So A lot of them Brazil too. So we have cold civil war in the United States. We have a virus that's spreading like wildfire. We have rioting in the streets. We have locusts everywhere, and there's rumors of war in China, India, and other places around the world.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know you're more up on this. What's the deal with Egypt and Libya? Is there anything going on there too?
There is. So Egypt might invade Libya. They have not done so yet.
Okay.
So Turkey's there. So Turkey and Egypt could clash in Libya. So we'll see what happens.
Right. And then like I don't even imagine, because if Turkey's UN, right, still,
Right.
and
Turkey's
I
part
guess
of NATO.
yeah, or part of NATO. I mean, how do we get involved? That's what I wonder.
Well, supposedly if they're attacked, NATO comes to their aid.
Yeah.
Problem is that they're starting it. So
Right.
do we really come to their aid if they start messing with other countries?
Right. I thought the point of NATO was like a defensive organization, but when you have an offensive organization, it mixed in there, it kind of muddies the water.
It does. And they have to vote on it, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. And on another note, I know we don't have a video for this. I think we're officially withdrawn from the World Health Organization. I think Trump signed it today.
He did, but it's to take a year to take effect, supposedly.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think they had to give a year notice, so July the 6th of next year, they'll totally be withdrawn. Of course, if Joe Biden becomes president,
yeah, he would just reverse it. Yeah,
reverse it, right?
Yeah, instantly.
Right. And then today we announced that the United States will back India if they go to war with China.
Of course, yeah.
And then France said the same thing. They're going to back India.
Right.
Go to war with China. So hopefully that won't happen either.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to battling it out with China. It's bad enough trying to get a good price on an iPhone.
Right, exactly. All right, well, that's the show tonight. Do you have any last words, Bill?
No, just be vigilant. And I don't know if anybody is in different states where they're pushing this mail-in ballot voting thing really heavily. But I personally, I call my congressman all the time and leave him a message, shoot him an email, let him know how you feel about it. One way or another. I mean, if you're pro mail-in ballot and you think that, they're going to pull it off and it's going to be fair, then I guess whatever. But me personally, I don't think a mail-in ballot for a presidential election nationwide is anything but a way to fix it or skew it in one way or another.
Right, I agree.
So.
Mail-in ballots nationwide full force would be a disaster.
So, like I said, my last words are: if you are like me, you're in my camp, call your congressman and let them know, because when they go and they finally get back to work, which will conveniently probably be soon, you need to know where they stand. And usually they'll send you this stock response like, thank you for emailing me and blah blah blah, but sometimes you get a personal response that says, hey, I'm on your side, I'm gonna push for safe social distance voting centers and blah blah blah. Because that's really, I say, hey man, if we can go to Home Depot and Lowe's during the peak of the pandemic and I can buy lumber, they can figure out a way for me to vote in person. Right. And I really think it's important. So that's my last words.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. You have a good night.
Good night, everyone.